Hi everyone, Rose Webster here. I want to update you on our petition. We have 550 signatures now, and as you know I added CBC. Well, this week they did a whole series called Deep Trouble, highlighting what's going on with the North Atlantic right whales, and I commented on all of them that I could up until a certain point, and you'll see why. And I want to thank CBC for Nancy Russell. She got her facts straight, namely that none of the pathologists have determined what conclusively killed these whales. They haven't released that. So, ship strikes and entanglements are not the key issue. From all the things I've read, it's been two that showed signs of blunt force trauma, which could have been inflicted after death, and one was entangled. Now, other people have said there's two, and then there's been some reports of it went from 13 whales down to 11 all of a sudden. But the thing I have counted is about 16 dead whales in the span of 2 months when you include those in U.S. waters. So, 3.8 whales per year get entangled on average. Having 3 whales potentially that fit that bill sounds pretty normal, or even a fairly good effort on the part of the shipping industry, pulling in their gear, etc. So I want to point that out. But today we were back again to square one, pointing to ship strikes and entanglements, and I'll show you a couple sentences from that post. Now, I was totally overwhelmed with this one person through a Facebook friend of mine that kept at me about my Blastex analysis of that chart, and I'll show you that. My understanding was that with these insects and so on, all these things get mashed up, and then they get run through sort of an analyzer, and their protein bases match up. And I thought that included their stomach contents and really what they're comprised of. So, going on a 2007 analysis of Blastex on calfin, I assumed a third of Calophinus marchicus, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, nibbles on Aedes aegypti larvae, and I also thought because there were 4 matches on their chart. Now, it's been brought to my attention this is a genetic matchup. So, I don't know if they pump the stomachs of these things before they do the analysis to make sure there's nothing in it. I don't know enough about it, but I do know this. Mesocyclops longituus, and again, I might not be saying it right, one of those can destroy 40 Aedes aegypti larvae. And no, they're not found everywhere that whales are. But keep this in mind with ocean currents, etc., is that one of these copepods nibbling away at these larvae that have Wolbachia in them, they break open these larvae. They don't like nibble the whole thing full because they're smaller than it actually. They break it open, and the viruses and the Wolbachia then get into the seawater. And then we have the seawater going around, and we have whales swimming around. And a lot of these whales have mouth abrasions. No, there's no little dentist to go out there, Noah, I don't think. Unless you have people going out fixing their mouths. But apparently they do. So even if they're not consuming these, the seawater would have inordinate amounts of Wolbachia plus the Zika virus from a lot of these larvae that get destroyed by copepods and also krill. So we need to think outside the box here. We also don't know what other creatures are consuming things and then dying and rotting out to sea, and then things nibble on it. I've read numerous sources that say North Atlantic right whales are opportunistic filter feeders. Yes, I realize they don't have teeth and chew things. It's their baleen, they're a baleen whale. But I think all of these baleen whales are going to have this problem because we have trillions of Wolbachia-infected Aedes being introduced into the food chain where it never was before 7 years ago. And the most alarming thing, when I saw the WWF report was 51% decline in insectivores, and I believe it's 43% decline in shorebirds. That's huge. I think fish was just a decline of, well, I shouldn't say just, 21%, but I would have thought that would be the highest number of all those numbers would be the fish. Right? Everybody's saying we're overfishing, we're overfishing, we're overfishing. So we need to think outside the box on this, because these whales have calluses and so on them. I understand they have abrasions often in their mouth. They actually do have taste buds. So it could be that the reason they're starving is also they're tasting this Wolbachia in some of these copepods and zooplankton and krill, and it tastes terrible, so they're trying to look for something that has no Wolbachia. Now, these releases have been going on in Brazil, Colombia, and Florida, and now in Los Angeles. And here's something a lot of people are forgetting, is that culex are also Zika vectors. We've got Culex tarsalis, which is very prevalent in California. And the presence of a virus facilitates the invasion of Wolbachia. So where the public thinks, oh, they'll throw Wolbachia out there into these Aedes and that's going to help. Well, guess what? That could be like throwing gasoline on a fire. So we got to get a grip on here. Now, I don't mind having my theory critiqued to death. But if you want to critique something, look at this study, and I'll show you, that assess the safety of these releases and what they did not include. And if you want to poke holes in anything, I'd say the scientific community as a whole needs to look at that. Thanks for listening.